Hello, everyone. Now, I am going to demonstrate how to create an alpha map for a height field command in Rhino from USGS. So right now I'm in USGS. I'm in the viewer, and I have picked a region here. We can see some mountains, we can see some valleys, etc. And the way I got this black and white image was by going right here in the corner and then going to USGS shaded relief only. So once you pick USGS shaded relief only, you can go right here and press print. You can go to your layout. You can pick the size of your paper, your file format, and you can also set the various image sizes right here. You have all of these options in terms of the scale. This is particularly useful if you're trying to actually scale your map later on. And then you hit export, and your exports will show up right up here, and it will open up as a PDF, which you can save. Now, I've already saved my image, and I'm going to go into Photoshop. Right here, I've placed my image, and this is what it looks like. So at the moment, we have these white regions, which are actually the lower points of the image, and then we have the darker regions, which are parts of our higher points on our map. Now, this isn't 100% correct because this is using a shadow which is dropped on one side in order to make this really visible. So it's not a true alpha map, but we can come up with something which is quite close to what we have over here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my layers, which is right here. Once I've opened up the layer, I'm just going to copy my base layer just in case I would like to go back. So I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate my layer. Okay, we're going to make a copy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this half white, half black circle right here. And I'm going to go to invert. So all of a sudden we have the lower regions which are showing up as black, which is very similar to an alpha map. Then I'm going to go ahead and edit the contrast a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into brightness and contrast. And I can increase the brightness a little. I can increase the contrast ever so slightly. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to save an image that looks like this for our Rhino demonstration. And then I'm also going to select this layer, and I'm going to go into filter, and then I'm going to go into the various blur modes. Now I'm going to go into Gaussian blur. And right here, what you see is this is going to give us an image, which is like, stratifying the various layers. Unfortunately, at the moment, my contrast is pretty low, so it's blending quite a bit, but we can still see the various layers within this image. So I'm just going to cancel this for a second. And I'm going to go in here and increase my contrast and brightness a little bit more, like this. And the reason I am not using this image is because when I bring this into Rhino, it is going to give me way too much variation, which is not going to help with my 3D terrain. So I'm just going to go back in here to this filter tab, go to blur, Gaussian blur again, and I'm just going to wait for it to, sorry, we're just going to go into this one, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then we can go into various levels of blurring this image. So we can do something like this. Okay, and some of this is going to be also trial and error. You have to bring this into Rhino and test it out and see what gives you the best results, because again, this is not an actual alpha map. We're just trying to create something that looks like an alpha map. So basically we want the lower regions to be black and the brighter regions to be almost close to white, and those are going to give us our peaks on our map. So I'm going to go ahead and then I'm going to save as copy. And I'm just going to save over this image right here. Okay. And then I'm going to go into Rhino, and I've done this with two different images, both of which were blurred. One was a little bit less blurred, the other one was highly blurred, and you can see that this is a lot smoother, and the contours, even though they're spaced the same way, you can see that they are describing these wider regions without all the sort of little peaks that are forming here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and delete these ones for a second, and I'm gonna create a line. Now I'm scaled in meters, so I'm just gonna go ahead and type in 1,000 meters like this, just so I have a guide. I'm gonna go in here and type in height field, and I'm going to select my first image, which is quite detailed and it doesn't have this blur, and I'm going to go ahead and use these settings right here. And what you'll see is that you're getting something which is fairly smooth because we're working with a very wide region, but we're still getting these very sharp peaks. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. I'm going to create another line, which is 1,000 meters in distance. And then I'm going to type in height field again. Height field. And I'm going to go in here, select my image. And then that's going to create something which is a lot smoother. And we can see it right here. Okay, and once I have this, I'm going to create contours for both of these objects right here. So I'm going to go in and type in contour. I'm just going to disable my snaps. Okay, and I'm just going to set all my contour heights at 1 meter. So remember, this was like a maximum of 50 meters. And this is what we end up with. We have these fairly smooth contours. We have these very subtle differences in height that are moving from 0 to 1 to 2, etc. So just showing these very subtle variations in the terrain. The contours are nice and smooth. However, if we were to go to our previous field right here, we can go and type in contour. And again, I'm just going to do the exact same thing. And remember, this is the exact same terrain. The only difference is that map that we've created, and all of a sudden it looks like all of these little islands, and this is not really representative of our terrain, and it's way too busy. It's not nearly as legible as this, which actually shows us that mountain range and this very smooth valley, which has very subtle variations. So if I go ahead and just tilt these two to the side like this, and I'm gonna type in make 2D. So make 2D. And I'm going to go for both of these, for all of these views, and we can see what happens here. We can have a clear comparison. Okay, and now we have our views. And we can do a little comparison, which is a little bit clearer. So right here, you can actually see all of these little islands, and it doesn't look quite right, whereas here it looks a little bit more representative of what we had. We can see it also in here. Again, these are much better contours. And then we can also see the section, which is a lot smoother. Remember, I haven't actually set the section. This is just the side view. And what I'm going to do after this is I'm going to make sure that we have a proper section which we cut across. But for now, this is how you get nice smooth contours from a black and white map.